together right now. It's all up to you. We can truly make it, but it might take some patience. So we just have to believe. We just have to do it. We can start the movement today. No time to waste. We'll be okay. We just gotta make it right. If we don't love each other, then we ain't gonna make it. If I don't treat you like my blood, then I'm just faking. If we just come together, can't nobody play. But what if we had one mind? What if we had one night? Oh, let's stop fighting, yeah, and stand up with your brother. Fight it, yeah, and stand up with your sister. Fight it, yeah, and stand up with your brother. Fight it, yeah, and stand up with your sister. If we don't love each other, then we ain't gonna make it, no. If I don't treat you like my blood, then I'm just faking. If we just come together, can't nobody play us. What if we had one mind? If we don't love each other, then we ain't gonna make it. If I don't treat you like my blood, then I'm just faking. No, no. If we just come together, can't nobody play us, no. But what if we had one mind? Can we be one?
Good evening. Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas here. And it is my honor to congratulate musicians in action on its 28th annual MIA Awards Gala. Those of you who know me know that gospel music is my favorite music genre. Do you know why? Well, it's because gospel music balances us. It bridges our daily lives with our faith, and it reaffirms our purpose in life. The power of gospel music is yet another reason for why the arts matter. And MIA has consistently supported musicians throughout the years, offering encouragement and fellowship. Most importantly, when everyone else is concerned about the status quo and simply existing, our youth have not been forgotten. MIA was able to pivot and last month provided virtually its signature annual drum clinic for youth and young adults. Now, the drum clinic is not merely a class or clinic. It is a mentorship, and I am proud to have supported it over the past several years. It is extremely important during this time to reach out and connect with our youth and to provide them with education, guidance, training, and affirmation. We must position our youth to take advantage of the opportunities in our region's creative economy, making music not a hobby but a career. Our economy will get better, and our youth must be ready, and our youth will be ready. Finally, I wish to acknowledge and thank Gerald and Jackie Malone for their leadership, for their service. I thank you, and I congratulate you.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the MIA 2k21 Drum Clinic. I'm so excited to be here. I am TJ Fisher, and I'm so excited to be here. We have the one and only Gorden Campbell. Now, Gorden Campbell is an amazing multi-instrumentalist, man. He plays a bunch of stuff, man, and he is a great writer and producer. His album is amazing, such an eclectic mix of music. Gorden has worked with man, he has a long career that spans, some years, and he's definitely worked with a bunch of great artists like Earth, Wind, and Fire, Whitney Houston, the American Idol Tour, In Vogue, Mary J. Blige, Alicia Keys, George Duke, Jessica Simpson. I mean, the list goes on, man. He has such an amazing resume of things that he has to offer and so much musical knowledge. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to just let him go ahead and take it away with his first song. Go ahead, Gorden Campbell, man. Hope you guys enjoy.
felt like something said keep going, so I just kept going. Try to get a little vibe. So, how's everybody doing? My name is Gorden Campbell. I'm here in Los Angeles. I don't know who's watching. I don't know if anybody's watching. I don't know anything. It's weird in COVID not being able to see people in front of me. But hopefully somebody's here. Hopefully we can learn something from each other today by the end of this 2 hours. But I just wanted to say I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive and breathing with all the stuff going on. I appreciate Musicians in Action for calling me, always calling me. I mean, I guess I feel like I'm part of the family. I am part of the family. So I'm always around, always at all the clinics and all that. So I'm always happy when they actually ask me to play. So very happy to be here. Before I get too far in, I have to say thank you to Andrew Papastefano for the lights, the cameras, the sound. His knowledge is like freaking amazing. So that's why I always call him for everything, because he's dope. So I have to say thank you for bringing all the cameras and all of that stuff, making me look professional. I got to thank TJ Fisher also for coming. He's been here hanging out with us too, helping out, and he's running the show today. Sivan Parchman, Jackie Malone, Gerald Malone, and all of the crew from Musicians in Action. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, as you can see at the end, I just kind of kept playing. That song I just played was called Afrobeat. It's from my new album that came out in November, my first album, so I'm excited. The song's called Afrobeat, featuring Kamasi Washington and Eddie Brown on keys, Kamasi on sax. The first song was just a track that I did. I do a lot of tracks to play along to. So that's, it's called Clinic Fusion, that first one. But I'm just happy to be here, and I actually lost my first train of thought I was going to say. But what I wanted to talk about today, I know I was going to say, it's weird not having people in front of me. So I don't know what the vibe is. I don't know if you guys like it, if you hate it. So I'm just going to talk. If you guys have any questions, TJ will be monitoring the questions. So you can ask whatever you want, and we can talk about whatever, electronics, music, life, whatever. Let's get it. I'm ready to go. I have some answers, hopefully. And hopefully, you guys can help me out, too. What I wanted to talk about today, whenever I do a clinic, I really want to have it to where people leave with information and with something that's going to make them better players and better people, but definitely better musicians. I just turned 50 Wednesday, May 12th. You can still send me gifts. I'll take them. Just joking. But in my 50 years of living, that's weird to say, but yes, I've been to a million drum clinics since I was like probably in high school. And a lot of times I just leave with chops and licks, and that's cool. But I don't always have something tangible to I have stuff to work on, but I want to leave stuff. When I do a clinic, I want people leaving like, all right, I'm inspired to go work on this, and this will help me hopefully have a career in music if that's what your goal is, or be just a better musician at your church or in your band or wherever. So, I want to try to teach what I know and give you guys some knowledge, what I've learned over my basically 30 years. I've been touring for 30 years, touring, recording, producing, writing, all of that. So I try to give a little bit of that knowledge of what I have. All right. So today I wanted to call this Play the Music. It's simple. Just play the music is what I should call it. As drummers and with social media, it's easy to get caught up in licks and chops. And even a lot of students I teach, they only want chops and licks. Teach me that gospel chop. Let me that. And it's like, that's cool, and I love it. I watch it probably every other day, and I'm learning. I'm trying to learn from the young cats what they're doing, so I'm trying that too. That's very important to be able to have that. But there's some meat and potatoes stuff that we got to have in order to have a long career playing music. And it ain't just chops. And probably 95% of the gigs that I have don't require any actual gospel, what they would call gospel chops or licks or anything. I don't even play those on most gigs, which is why my chops are waning right now, because I don't use them on a regular basis, and I don't really shed like that with other guys too much just because I'm kind of busy. But I want to give you guys some chops, maybe some ideas, some techniques that we can run over that'll get your chops to the point where you can actually play super fast, super creative, and all that stuff. So we'll go through some of that, but I really want you to get an overall view of just music in general. So when I was sitting here, I was like, just play the music. whatever the music asks you to play. And I actually have a DVD out that came out in 2012 called Secrets of the Working Drummer.
Dope, dope. I have that one.
You do?
I definitely purchased.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, you can get that at hudsonmusic.com or hit me on the DM on my IG or whatever, or GordonCampbell.com, or my IG is Gorden512, Gorden 512. Hit me on the DM, and I can help you get that that DVD. It's called Secrets of the Working Drummer. And what I wanted to do is see what really hit what I think was missing. A lot of drum videos that I've seen, and not disparaging anybody because I have them all and I watch them all and I learn from them all. It's a lot of technique. It's a lot of technique, which is cool, and we need technique in order to do what we do. But I didn't see a lot of music videos where they talk about music, like how do you play a song? Like when I have my students that I'm teaching, I want them. I'm like, if Christina Aguilera or J-Lo, whoever calls you today to rehearse tomorrow, I want you to have whatever tools you need to be able to not get fired off of that gig. If it's knowing what your in-ears or headphones are supposed to have in them, knowing what equipment that you should have on your own, or even if they rent it for you, knowing which equipment you need to know how to work. So, like, I don't know if you can see this pad here, Andrew, if you can get overhead. Know how to work this pad. Know how to put sounds in the pad. Know how to make a kit on this pad. Basic, simple, practical application stuff that a lot of stuff I didn't see was being taught. So that's what Secrets of the Working Drummer is. Not as much as electronics, but more so songs, like how to play songs, how to approach a song, when to do a lick, when not to do a lick, when to hold back. All of that kind of stuff is what I cover in the DVD. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today in some form or fashion. Like, just play the song, you know. And I know a lot of times, and I can talk a lot. I'm going to play some more, too. I'm catching my breath. But a lot of times, if we're playing somewhere, you know, for instance, if I play at a church and some other drummers walk in, of course I want to do a lick so they can know that I'm still dope or that I have this or, you know. But I have to use my discipline to not do it because it's not necessarily called for. A lot of times we do stuff that's not called for and you ain't just playing the song. And it could work in some situations. And a lot of times most of us are good enough to pull it off and not lose the one or anything. We can do it. But is it worth doing it? Is it serving the song? Is it serving the music? And especially if you're in church, is it serving the service? Like, is it in the spirit of what's going on in the service and the song and everything? So knowing when to play stuff, when to hold back, when to play loud, when to play soft, all of that kind of stuff is what's super important to me. And a lot of times it wasn't a drum lesson that taught me. It was me on a gig, and whoever was singing or playing looked at me crazy because I did something that shouldn't have been played. And I was feeling like an idiot because I was like, oh, man, I could have just played straight through that. And, you know, so I learned a lot from playing with people. I learned a lot from people just talking to me. You know, I used to play in the band in D.C., and the guy, Larry Seals, would always be like, yo, every time you do a fill, like, you rush your fills and then you slow back to your groove. And, like, you need to – he made me think about stuff that I never thought about. And he was a sax player. He wasn't a drummer, but it was him talking to me, which – like, made the light come on. So that's what I'm kind of doing now, trying to talk to you guys to let you understand how stuff works, where it's supposed to go. Even, like, if you have – most of us now have multiple snares, bring the right gear for the right gig. I have some gigs where I have one rack, one floor, maybe two cymbals. I have some gigs where I got 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, snare, blah, 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 a bunch of – it depends on the gig. I don't bring everything for every gig. So thinking – I think it's just like thinking. It's like sports. Like the players that are super high end, like the Kobe's, LeBron's, they're super smart. It's more than just their athletic ability. It's their thinking game. And that's how I approach drums. I think. And sometimes you could overthink. And I don't want to sometimes, you know. So I try to find the fine line of feeling the vibe and feeling the energy and playing off of the other guys, having a conversation, which is why I named my album Conversations, having a conversation with the other band guys musically. But you have to think. You can't just thoughtlessly play because then I'll be doing licks all through the verse on a ballad with somebody singing soft. You know, you can't. I'm not thinking at that point. I'm just like blabbing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a thinking game. So that's what the talk does. It made me think, okay, should I do this here? Should I bring these sticks? Should I bring brushes to this gig? Should I always have brushes? Should I bring, just everything? So that's where I try to approach when I'm playing. I try to really think, And when I hear other drummers, I can hear if they're thinking, if they're listening, if they know history, if they have a vocabulary, if they know the style, if it's a rock song, if they're still playing gospel chops over a rock song. I mean, in general, you can play whatever you want, whatever your heart tells you to play. But just on a basic level, you want to be in the vocabulary of that style. And I'll touch on that in a little bit too. You'll hear in the songs that I'm playing that it's a bunch of different styles. It's all over the place. Just because versatility is what's been that's what enabled me to get calls. Like I'll do a pop gig like in arenas for a couple months. I'll come back and I'll play with George Duke for a couple of months. Or I'll come do a movie. Or I'll go do Jessica Simpson pop tour. And then when she did a country album, they still call me to play that. So I'm able to play country, jazz, pop. I can read music. I can write it. I can, that versatility is what's enabled me to keep working. And people, even at 50, and there's a lot of dope drummers here in town and around the world, really, and they don't have to call me. There's a lot of drummers that will work probably for less money, that don't mind sharing a room, all of that. I ain't doing none of that. But people still keep calling me. So it's telling me that whatever I did, something was right. I think part of it has to do with my versatility and being able to play what I'm playing, play the style that they need. If they need chops and licks, I can do that. I'm not the best, but I can do it. If they need electronics, I can do that. If they need loops, whatever they need, So that's where I try to go from. So I'll keep playing some songs. I'll talk in between and try to explain where I was coming from on certain things, and then you guys can ask questions, and I'll answer them. All right? Cool. So I don't know if you had any questions yet.
No, you kind of touched on a lot of information that's insightful. One thing you said I think was really prolific is that you had a lot of on-the-job experience, which is sometimes hard because you're in the middle of playing and learning to have discipline and all these things at the same time. So as a drummer, being thrown into that, you kind of have to mature at a rapid pace. I think that's kind of what a lot of people that come from a church background, they get thrown into. I was talking to my students the other day. We had to learn 3 songs in a matter of a couple days, and then we had to perform those consistently for it's choir rehearsal Thursday. Then you got Saturday, you better know the song. Sunday, it better sound good. You had to do that.
And it's all by ear.
Right. And
it ain't no charts. You got to use your ear and your brain to memorize.
Right. And that challenges a lot of your musicality, and it forces you to, raise your skill consistently in a short amount of time. So I think that's very insightful, just being able to approach the music maturely over a time. But I have one question. The song you just played, how did you kind of approach the concept of what you were going to do? Did you think about what's the bass player doing, or were you thinking about the stylistic vocabulary? What did you kind of do to get you prepared for playing that song?
So I wrote that song. So all the songs on my album, which I hope you guys will get Conversations, I'm gonna say it 100 more times. You can go to GordonCampbell.bandcamp.com and get it, or you can get it Apple Music, all the platforms. But Bandcamp is the one. If you can do that, you can go to my website and click on it. It'll take you there. Anyway, So I wrote that song. So most of the songs on my album, I started right here on this drum set in this room, just with a groove. And then once I got an idea, I wanted to do some kind of Afro beat. So if you listen to and I'll play a little bit of the beginning real quick. That's me sitting here. I have my iPhone sitting over there, and I was recording ideas, and I wanted to do an Afro beat. So I was trying to think of something. I was trying to think of some kind of Afro beat, something kind of in the vein. It's not all the way Afro beat, but my version of it. So I started that beat, and then I went in the room and I just wrote a song around it. Then I played, the keys. It came out of that groove, and then that bridge on there, Eddie Brown actually wrote that bridge at the session because I didn't have a bridge. I just had the rest of the song. So, but yeah, so what I don't know. I just kind of sit down and feel what I'm feeling. Like it came from the basic idea. I want it to be an Afrobeat type
Right.
thing. So that's what that. And actually, as I was playing, I recorded it, and that's what that was. That idea is what. Once I recorded it, I probably played for 5 minutes, and I went back and watched the video, and that part right there, I was like, "That's dope. I'm gonna make a song out of that." So I recorded it from my iPhone video into my Logic, looped that, and wrote a whole song around that loop. So that's where that groove came from. I just was playing, and then the bridge, I just kind of expanded on it by going. So it's the same groove. I just opened my hi-hat, and then at the end. So the vibe was. So that's where the vibe came from that song, and then the rest is kind of like I just kind of let the spirit lead where it is. So I don't. Most stuff that I play, I don't think about it first. And some people do. Some people can do that. Like it really depends on the song and the situation, and if it's the session, I try to make something that's clean. But I just base it off of what I feel coming from the music that's given to me. Like the song, outside of my album, because I started it on the drums, whatever the song is dictates what I play.
Right.
So
I have a quick question,
Yeah.
and maybe we take it for granted sometimes that we kind of run into the vocabulary. How did you get the vocabulary for that? So like you said, hey, I'm going to play an Afro beat. So where did you go to get the vocabulary to be like, oh, okay, this works with the Afro beat, or this is what will work with it, or maybe I'm pulling something from another style or something? Like, how did you develop the vocabulary? Hopefully I'm not taking you out.
No, you're good. I'm trying to think his name. And it's a shame. I'm actually ghetto. I'm about to look it up.
That is not ghetto. That is called resources.
Yes. What's his name? The drummer. He just passed. He's like the father of Afrobeat. Like Tony Allen, that's what his name is.
Okay.
Tony Allen played with Fela. He started Afrobeat. He's a drummer I think they're from Ghana, and played with Fela Kuti. And that whole style, I love that style. I mean, it's really us. We're African, really. So every time I hear it, it's just like, whoo, and that style kind of made a resurgence. And even the more pop Afrobeat, like Burna Boy and groups like that, Coffee, those kind of beats, I just like that calypso, African. I just like that. It's just a hot style. So to answer your question, listening, that's it. I listen to a lot of music, and that's to know a lot of styles and know vocabulary, you just got to listen to everything.
Yeah.
You know, there's even music that I don't necessarily care for too much, but I listen to it just so I know what it's supposed to sound like. In case somebody calls me for that type of gig, I won't be looking like an idiot. You know, so listening is what gave me that background.
Yeah, that makes sense, because when I think back to like my development of like, I think of when I started playing drums, I just remember waking up in the morning and my dad had crates of records, and he would just play records. And when I, like, for instance, Frankie Beverly and Mays, there was this drink called Kern's Nectar.
Oh yeah,
back in the day, and it was
still here.
It was a smooth drink, and I remember drinking that, and I remember that whenever I would drink that, I would hear Frankie Beverly and Mays. So like now, every time I think of Frankie Beverly and Mays, I think of
Kern's Nectar.
I think of Kern's Nectar drink. But it was just a testament to my dad was just like always playing music. Like we wake up in the morning, and it's so funny. It's kind of surreal because the same thing now. I wake up in the morning, and I just turn on music, and it just plays throughout the day. And then everything I'm turning on and listening to, I'm soaking up. And my daughters are the same thing. They getting up, waking up, singing Earth, Wind, and Fire and stuff. And I'm like, oh, like, yeah. So, like, yeah, listening is a huge part of yeah, man, that's super dope.
Yeah. So that's what it is. And one more thing I wanted to say, I was listening. You said kind of what I said when I was like, I would learn on the gig. You made me think of my very first tour, a group called Shy. And that's how I moved to L.A. We all went to Howard University together. And once their album blew up, they came out to L.A. So when they got on tour, they brought the band from D.C. So I just happened to be the drummer, thanks to Chris Dave. he put me on the gig. We were all in school together. And so, yeah, before then, this is like 1993. A lot of people, well, they were just starting to use live tracks, playing live. Before then, everybody just played live. Drummer counted off, and you just play. Now, everybody's using the MPC. This is before computers. We're using the MPC, and in the MPC is all the programmed drums, kick, snare, hat, everything. So I got to play my kick, snare, hat and lock with a computer kick, snare, hat that I've never done before. Like, it was new, and I had never toured before anyway. But so on the gig, I was flamming at not on the gig, but in the rehearsals. We rehearsed. Back then, we used to rehearse for like a month or two before you went out. And what I started doing was, after rehearsal, I would stay. Like, just leave me here. Come pick me up. I would stay for like another 4 hours and just play. I said, just leave the machine on. He showed me how to work the MPC, how to go through the songs, press play so I could play along with them. And I actually did that. I was already on the gig. So I didn't relax because I didn't think I'm kind of sort of a perfectionist. I think most of us are as musicians or creatives. And I literally would just stay until I learned how to lock, and it's still not perfect because I'm a human. It's going to move a little bit. But I learned how to lock with the kick, snare, hat, and do fills and still not make it sound like one drummer as opposed to So I did that on the gig. You made me think about that. I literally would just stay at rehearsal. Or we had a car, I would drop them off, come back with the car, and just stay till like midnight until I figured out how to like make it feel natural, but lock with the machine. Yeah, and the MD was the only one that had really been on tour, and he noticed the difference. He was like, yeah, like, but I was already on the gig. I didn't relax. I just kept pushing like, all right, let me make this dope, so yes. Yep. So I can play another song if you want.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Okay. Let's see what I got. All right. So speaking of Jessica Simpson and country, I always do this song in clinics. I call this my meat and potatoes song, talking about just playing the song and just this song is meat and potatoes. It's from her country album. So, we always put our little sauce on it a little bit, but in general, it's country. I'm just playing the song. And I left the click in there on one side so you guys can hear the click and hear where I am with the click. I might flow here and there, but it's going to be somewhere in the center of the beat. All right? It's called Still Beautiful.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Question. All right. So, somebody asked a question, and it was a comment, and we kind of touched on it, but it kind of led me to another question. So let's say you're playing that song that you just played,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say you have the vocabulary of that song. Let's say it's something specific. How would you make that song your own? Like, how would you put the quote unquote Gordon Campbell stamp on uh, a song by Jessica Simpson? You know, how do you make it your characteristic? You know.
Right. So this is my answer to that. I'm not gonna make it my own because this is their song. This is their gig. So if I was to make it my own, I'd be playing some other syncopated, but I can't. And that's the thing that I think a lot of probably younger drummers that haven't started touring or working a lot got like I always and people would laugh at me, but I'm like an NPC. I'm a drum machine. I don't have no feelings. Just tell me what to play and I'm gonna play that. I could like it, I could hate it, I could not ever want to play it again. But if that's what you hired me to play, I'm gonna play that. So I don't necessarily put my stamp on it. I think to answer his question, your stamp is kind of like you just develop a sound just from playing so much. You know, I played on like some records or this one song in Dreamgirls that Jennifer Hudson sang. Bum, what's it called?
Never.
So anyway, I played on that, and my boy was like, "That's you on that song, ain't it?" And he's not a musician. He's like, "I just know your sound," and I was like, "I didn't know I had a sound. I didn't, cause I don't. You should have everybody should have their own sound, but I think it develops from everything you listen to, and you playing a lot, practicing a lot, and after a while, you just kind of get. So yeah, so on the Jessica Simpson song, I'm just playing me. I'm just playing what I hear and what I feel. But in my mind, I'm trying to get what was on the album, number one, and I'm trying to get the spirit of what that song is doing. So 9 times out of 10, almost 10 times out of 10, that means me taking me out of the song at all. Like I don't want to put my brain ain't like I'm gonna make sure people know I'm playing. No, and I don't think he's asking the question like that or she, but some people think like that. If you're playing a record where they asking you to do you, then yeah. But on a gig, most of the time, I take myself out of it. Like I almost don't want people to know that it's me playing. And I use a perfect example of that. Nathan East is like the bass player of all bass players. He's on so many records, from Get Lucky to Change the World with Eric Clapton to Foreplay. You never really know it's him unless you really listen. It's so many songs. I'm like, that's Nathan East. He's just like a commit. Like he just fits everything. And honestly, I didn't do it consciously, but I think that's now consciously that's where I want to be. I almost want to be where you don't necessarily know that it's me, but I'm just on a whole bunch of stuff, and them checks is coming in. You know what I'm saying? Them royalties are showing up, and they were like, "That's you." I didn't, So I think some people know that it's me if they like been around me enough and seen I do the same stuff over and over again. But I just honestly don't. I try to not play me. I try to play whatever that song is, even if I have to take myself away from it or play something that I wouldn't normally play. Yeah. So I think was that answer?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. It's about the song, and that's why I said just play the music. Because if I was to do me and what I hear in my head, I hear all kind of stuff that I can probably make fit and make work and still kind of be musical, but it doesn't always call for that, and I have to take me out of it. Like the whining says, self has to die out. No more I. I forget the lyrics. Anyway, but yeah, so that's that. And it's just meat and potatoes, playing the verse soft, coming getting louder on the choruses, going to the ride on the interlude. Just it's different musical concepts that's just basic that you can do anywhere. And I would say too, in teaching this clinic today, and I'm gonna say teaching because that's what I really want people to like take notes and leave with something. Most songs on most gigs, no matter what style it is, there's a basic format to just music in general. It's like maybe play the intro at a medium volume or whatever the thing is, and then break the verse down a little bit. Especially, the verse is either somebody playing a lead melody on the instrument or whatever, or singing. So you break it down on the verses, come back up on the choruses, maybe on the bridge, go to the ride. And it's not the same everywhere, but there's a basic thing. So I can do so many different gigs just because I know that basic formula. And I want, hopefully, people will get that from this, just understanding. You'll see as I'm playing these songs, certain times I go to the ride, certain times I go to the side stick, certain times I play soft, loud, certain time I do a big fill coming out of something, or I'll do a big fill leading into, if it's some hits like, I might do, the drummer got to set up those hits, you know.
So since you've been doing this consistently and you're working in the industry and doing all these types of things, what are you working on now to make sure, or what's your goals now that you're, still, you have a career and you're sustaining a career?
Couple different things. Number one is staying relevant. A lot of guys get stuck in whatever year they was hot and they don't leave that year. And then the younger guys like, man, they sound old, And to them, I probably sound old to them now. But I still try to listen and stay current. So that's the one thing I'm working on, staying relevant. Even if I don't always play the young, newest licks, I'm watching everybody. I can give you a list of names of cats that I watch on a daily basis that I think are incredible players. So the main thing is staying current, staying relevant, so people will still keep calling me, because this is all I got.
Right.
And like most of us, a lot of us, when COVID hit and gigs stopped, if you didn't have, like for us, we had a church, me and Sivon, where Bishop kept paying us throughout when we weren't even having church at all. So I had a good situation with that. And because I have a studio, I was able to record. But a lot of people, this is it. So you got to do whatever you got to do to keep paying bills until some type of retirement fund, which is hard. It's hard. It's not a lot for musicians, comes in. So staying relevant. Other things, technically, and this, because I'm teaching, has helped me a lot too. Rudiments, just the basic. I got this from Little Mike Mitchell. This is one exercise. So I'm just vibing with you.
No, you
that
good.
Stuff comes up. It's the simplest thing, and it's probably boring to most players because they're more advanced. But this is helping my hands. Like, even for this, because I haven't been playing a lot, I was like, I need to work on my hands for a couple days. So it's basically 1 bar, 16 notes, 1 bar of singles, doubles, paradiddles, flam taps. And I can show you in a slow way. So it's 1, 3, 4, doubles, 1, 2, 3, paradiddles, 1, 2, 3, flam taps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Then I'll add my feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not bouncing. I do that for like 10 minutes at a time. I just set my phone with a timer. And by the time I'm done, my forearm and everything is sore. But I notice as soon as I'm done with it, if I do a fill, it's like easier and it's faster and it's more solid. So basic rudiments. I'll show some other ones while we're here too. And I get my, because I'm teaching now, I'm watching a lot of other teachers, and because I need stuff to teach my students. So I got this exercise. That one I got from Little Mike Mitchell. And he said he would just, and if anybody knows Little Mike Mitchell, he ain't little no more, he goes by Black Dynamite on IG. He's got the fastest hands. Him, like Ronald Bruner, Chris Coleman, they got the fastest hands I've ever seen. Yeah. So I'm like, he did a clinic at the school. I was like, what did you do? And that's what he did. He said somebody, I think probably Chris Knox or somebody taught him do that. And he said he would just do it while he was watching TV when he got home from school. He would do it for hours. And it paid off. So I'm like, I need to do that. So, yeah, so that's from Mike Mitchell. I got this other one from Mike Johnston. It's an independence exercise that is hard. And it's actually advanced, but it helped me a lot. And it helps my students. So it goes like this. It's the regular jazz ride pattern, but it's not swung. It's not. It's straight. Like 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. With your hands and your feet, you're doing what's called a paradiddle diddle. So it's paradiddle diddle. Paradiddle diddle. But you're going to break it up between your foot and your hand. So most players are right-handed, so you would do the snare with your left hand. But because I'm left-handed, I'm going to do it with my right. So it's paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle, paradiddle, paradiddle. So it's 2 paradiddle diddles, 1 single paradiddle. Because if you just do paradiddle diddles, it never alternates hands.
Right, right.
So you got to do 1 single in order to alternate.
Right.
So it's paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle, paradiddle, paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle, paradiddle, it just repeats.
Right.
So while you're doing that, you're doing this. So I try to do it slow. It's hard to do it slow, but I try. I'll slow it down. Paradiddle, diddle, paradiddle, diddle, paradiddle. And I just do that for a while. It's super complicated. It took me a minute to learn that. I had to slow it down, and I had to actually do like, because trying to get that, is super hard. So you guys out there trying to get it, slow it all the way down, do one thing at a time. And one other thing I'd like to say, when I'm working on something like that, it's hard to play all limbs separately. So I think of it, for one, I think of it as coordination as opposed to independence. It's like I'm coordinating. I'm figuring out what hand lands or what limb lands with at the same time or like that and what beat it lands on. But also, I'll take one thing out of the equation. So instead of doing everything, I'll take that out and I'll just go. Or I'll take the hi-hat out and I'll go. And then I'll add whatever, because the more you add, the harder it gets. So I'll simplify it just to get it. Okay, I can do it with the hi-hat, the snare, the kick. Then I'll add the ride later. So that's how I approach these things. And even when I'm doing my basic rudiments, I try to keep something going. Like, or I'll do this. I'll do like. And for me, probably the hardest rudiment for me is flam paradiddles. It really shows how weak my right hand is because I play left-handed. So, and I try to play it without bouncing. I bounce when I'm playing, but when I'm working out, trying to build my muscles, I try not to bounce and make sure your chops a lot stronger. So I'll go. Once I get that straight, then I'll make it more difficult. I'll change the kick. And I'll go out with my foot or whatever, or try to go. Like I'll make it as difficult as possible. But to answer your question 10 minutes ago, I went back to the rudiments. Just stay on the basics. And that really helps you, you know. And I look at it, I always say like Steph Curry or somebody, he shoots so many times. It's natural to him when he's in the game. He's not thinking elbow up. Like it just happens because he's done it so many times. So that's how I look at music. The more reps I do, the more natural it'll be when I'm actually playing. Because when I'm playing music, I'm not thinking technically. I'm feeling the energy from whatever the song is giving me. So I'm not thinking technically, but I've done it so many times in the practice room, it just comes out naturally when I'm playing. You know.
So would you say, as far as an amount of time practicing, do you consider like I'm gonna spend X amount of time practicing, or is it like, man, like maybe I feel like I've done this so much that it becomes second nature to me? Or how do you approach, like, how long you're practicing your different stuff?
Well, it don't come second nature. You got to practice. All of my friends that are super dope, that everybody knows, it looks cool when they show up and they just sit down and kill. But in my head, I know. I'm like, they practice. Even if you're talented, you got to put the work in. And I keep going back to sports because I like basketball. I'm a Laker fan. Kobe, LeBron, they're like Michael Jordan. They're like some of the best athletes in the world. They're most athletic in the world. They could probably not practice. Like James Harden's been out for I don't know how long. He came back and still blazed everybody. But them people put in the work. As talented as they are, they still put in. They're in the gym first and they leave last. And that's how we got to be. It does. No matter how many gigs you had, no matter who you play with, if you don't practice, you're gonna sound like it. And I've heard somebody say you're only good at your last gig. So it's like, all right, I got to keep it. So I don't really set a time only because I'm busy like producing and doing other stuff and trying to pay bills. But I would try to at least do 30 minutes a day, if nothing. I mean, that exercise that I showed you with the hands, the little Mike Mitchell, or that, you can do 10, 15 minutes of that every day, and that'll at least keep your hands going. If you're not there and you're just starting to develop, spend more time on it. But, yeah, I mean, if I had time, I would say, all right, I'm going to do an hour every day, which I did during COVID, and I didn't do it. I even set a kit back up in my house because I didn't have a kit set up in my house. Like, all right, I'm locked in the house. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to at least do an hour every day. I did it for like a week, and then I kind of fell off. But, yeah, if you're younger and you're just getting started, yeah, try to set some time. Even if you can't do it every day with school or wherever else you got to do your responsibilities, set some time. And if you don't have a drum set, you got some sticks. If you don't have sticks, hit me up. I'll send some to you. I got like so many sticks just sitting here. But even if you're on a pillow, or I do it on my leg because it doesn't get on anybody's nerves. Just keep your hands moving. And if you can, while you're doing it, do your feet too. Just do something. Okay. So, yeah, we can talk all day, but we should do another song.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I've been just started back playing with In Vogue. I used to play with them years ago, off and on, do some hits. And they just called me back. So I'm going to play a couple of their songs. And it's what we've been talking about musically. Sorry, guys. We can talk all day. Hold on. This mic stand is going down in flames.
Make sure you guys are submitting your questions in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, and we would love to ask Gorden some more questions. So feel free to drop them in the chat while the clinic's going on.
Gotcha. All right. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Free your mind. up, G?
Sivan, what up, brother?
I'm good, man. As always, want to express our appreciation, man, to you. You always avail. I mean, and you are fam. I mean, this is just second nature for you. So again, thank you for availing yourself.
Yep.
Man, look, you got a lot going on. I've been knowing you for a long time, and I
Yep.
know you're multi-talented
Yep.
and you have your hands in a lot of things. So let's talk about what you do music-wise when it comes to social issues. I know it's part of your project. You want to elaborate and talk about it?
Yeah, well, definitely there's a couple songs on there, but the main song socially is called Too Many Lost on my album. The crazy part is the guy that wrote the lyrics is named Gene Noble, and he's a crazy singer and a crazy songwriter. He's a dope artist. I ran into him in the airport one day, and I was working on my album, and I was like, hey, when you come back, that's right. And he came through, and we were talking about, I think it's the day that Philando Castile was murdered.
Wow.
And we were sitting here talking about that, and we were just like, man, there's too many people dying. Like, it's like probably before we even heard a beat, because I literally just played some of my songs that had started, and he picked that track. Like, that's dope.
Wow.
I want to write to that. So it was a beat. The track was already written. And before I played any beat, we were talking about that and how it's a shame that they keep murdering us, unarmed people or people that's complying when they say, just comply or just we're complying, and they're still shooting us unarmed for a traffic stop. You know what I'm saying? We're not murdering mass people at once. None of that. So we were talking like that probably for an hour before I even played any beat for him. And he had never heard none of my tracks. He just knew me as a drummer. So he came to the studio, and that's what happened. And then, like, from that, he just started going, too many lost.
Wow.
And he wrote that whole song lyrically to the track I had.
So wasn't it?
And that was 2017 is what I was going to say. It was years ago.
So wasn't it up for a Grammy nomination or for consideration?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
For your consideration.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was great, man. Considering that was the first single.
Yep.
And it was more like organic than anything. It wasn't like you guys were really pushing it. And the visuals that accompanied it was kind of chilling because it really depicted everything that we've been going through right now. Wow. So
who would have known in 2017 that we'd still be here? COVID would hit. Like, we didn't know that. We just wrote that, and when we wrote it, listening back, and I remember Gene's manager, Larry Plummer, was here too, and he was like, "Whoo!" You know, when the hair raises on your arm, the goosebumps. He was like, "This is a smash." So we knew it was a good song, but we didn't know that it was going to still be relevant right now.
So how do you feel about musicians taking a stand regarding being?
I think
being
everybody
advocates
should
of
take a
everything that's
stand
going on?
when it comes life or death or injustice. It don't matter if you're a doctor, a dentist, a musician, an athlete, whatever, an actor. Everybody should take a stand for humanity. That's just humanity. It don't have nothing to do with music, job, nothing, money. That's just humanity.
No, I agree.
And not just against blacks. Anybody, blacks, whites, Asians, Hispanic, anybody. What's going on? And I'm not getting into the other stuff, Israel and all that, because I don't really know. But humanity. That's all I'm saying. It should be. And it could be, and people have made it political, and they've made it, this ain't political. This is just human life. Somebody living or dying is not politics.
I agree with you. I think that's when
Not.
God,
I hope I ain't turn nobody off, but
no, I mean,
you asked me,
and
so.
I think I agree with you when God kind of just shut down the world, if you will.
Yeah.
We had a bird's eye view of everything that was going on. I think that's what made George Floyd so polarized, because you had nowhere to go, so you were there right in the thick of things. And like you said, unbeknownst to you, that song was written 2 years ago, or 3 years ago prior to that.
Yep.
So no, definitely thank you for putting that out.
Yep.
So let me ask you, what has been a watershed experience for you?
I don't know. Probably playing with Earth, Wind, and Fire. The funny thing is, and I think it's just I just move. I just always keep pushing forward. It's just my personality. I don't do it on purpose. So I do a lot of stuff, and then I look back on it and like, oh,
Yeah.
I literally just did. You know what I'm saying? So probably Earth and Wind was just a group. Even though I grew up in a church household, we couldn't listen to R&B. Earth, Wind, and Fire music permeated everything, everywhere. So you kind of knew it, even though it wasn't necessarily an 8-track playing in my house of that. You knew all the songs. So when they called me to do the gig, probably just my 3 years of touring with them, and actually I told them no when they first asked me, because I was producing. I wanted to stay home and produce, and I was like, no, I got to stay home. I got to produce. So when they called, I was like, nah, I'm cool. And they said, well, come to the office and come talk to Maurice White, who started the band. I was like, all right. So I just went down there like, man, I'm going to just go tell him no. He was so cool. They left me and him in the room, and we just talked about, I don't remember what we talked about. It was just regular. And by the time we got done, he was like, all right, cool. Go tell him how much you want.
And I think maybe maybe because you both are drummers. I mean,
Yes.
you spoke a certain language.
Yeah. And he was cool all the way to the end. Like, he was like, I dig, yeah.
Well, I remember when you got that gig, we were all
Yeah.
excited for you.
Uh-huh.
And kind of segueing into, you've worked with some legends, some that are alive and some that passed.
Mm-hmm.
You mind talking about your experience with George Duke?
That's the first name I thought of. If you look in my other room, there's a picture of me and George in there. He was like my mentor. And Andrew, who's here working with us too, that's how I know Andrew. He was George's tech, and he built studios and all that stuff. So that's how we started working together. Yeah, George is like one of my biggest influences. Number one, because he didn't have one particular style. He played everything. He could play straight ahead. He could play electronic. He could play
stick. I mean,
dookie stick to the funk. Yeah. He could play everything, and he didn't trip off of, it's got to be this. When the first gig I did with him, for his thing, because I had done something with him that was like a house band thing, but I was subbing for Teddy Campbell, and he said, come by my house, and we'll rehearse. So it was just me and him. I just brought a kick snare hat. We played like 2 songs. He was like, you got it, man. I'll see you at the airport. He didn't trip. Like, he didn't like to rehearse, and it was just like, he was super cool. So that's where I think a lot of that came from me. Like, don't trip. Because some artists is like super meticulous, and that's cool. Everybody has their way. But he was super cool, and the vibe was always right. Like, the vibe just always was like, you know what I'm saying? And in his show, why my album is like it is probably too, we'll go from Reach For It or Dookie Stick to Guess You're Not the One for Me, which is a super soft ballad where I'm playing side stick the whole song, and he's singing, you know what I'm saying? To Brazilian Love Affair, to something that he did with Frank Zappa. Like, we literally, every song was like totally different vibe, and you got to like change on the spot. Usually if I'm on a gig, if I'm playing hip-hop R&B with the claps and that's one thing. If I'm playing a pop gig, I'm not thinking chops. I'm thinking like, but his gig is like every single song was different.
Yeah.
You know, and he would always say, I'm going to take you on a musical journey and just stick with me. That's where my vibe is.
Perfect segue to this. So, as you know, each generation or each decade almost has different styles.
Right.
So, if you don't mind, can you give an example? I'm going to give you 5 styles, and you kind of do a shed or give them an example.
Play a little bit. Okay.
So, the 70s, we had the funk, right? 80s, R&B, but then kind of disco as well. Then we had hip-hop come in, rap and hip-hop came in. Then with that came New Jack City.
Yep.
All right.
New Jack Swing.
New Jack Swing, exactly.
City, that's the movie.
All right. Now, right. Okay. Pretty. No, I won't go there.
Right.
And the one that's really current now is trap. And I know you play all styles. So can you give an example of each
of
style?
those?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. All right. So, yeah, I'll just keep that there. So the 70s, the first thing I thought of is so straight just boom.
Shout out to Clyde also.
Yes. Yep. So, and I always think about like James Brown too. That might be like, well, yeah, 70s and late 60s all the way up. But so that whole James Brown thing is the next level.
Dude.
So, yeah, I think of like that. The first beat was Funky Drummer, and the other one was just kind of vibe that I got when I listened to James Brown.
Okay.
All right. So, the more kind of disco, and they got that da-da, da-da, or you can ring my bell. ring my bell. So something like that.
Yeah.
90s, which was my era. You know what I'm saying? No.
Well, no. You got to go to 80s. You got
That
the
was
80s.
kind of 80s. The disco
Yeah, that was
thing.
kind of 80s, and then you
Yeah.
had when the hip hop came in.
Oh, the hip hop, and this is because I'm from New York. I was around. I was
I
like in
know.
high school in the 80s. So, like, I'm trying to think of something boom bap.
I'm gonna sneak something in. So while you're
Okay.
doing that, you got to run a little bit of DC Go-Go.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to think of a song. I don't want to go Dilla. I'm trying to think like before that.
Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cruel, or something.
Yeah, no,
like that?
no. I'm thinking hip hop. I can't. I'm going blank on a song, on a hip hop song that I could play a beat to. I can't think of a hip hop song that I could play to.
Fight the
Outside-
Power.
Yeah, and that was Funky Drummer.
Yeah, I know the sample. Yeah.
Yeah, it was mostly samples. So basically, they sampled 70s funk.
Right.
So any of the James, especially Funky Drummer, is like the most sampled song probably in the history of hip hop.
I know I was reading the story where if James had been able to collect really from all the samples, he would have been a gazillionaire.
Well, if Clyde would have been able to collect too,
Well, yeah.
because Clyde didn't get nothing, and that's him playing on it.
Well, actually, I just downloaded his new kit, a new CD package that
Yeah.
you can do his samples.
Okay. So yeah, that was all funk samples. So it's like Bobby Brown. And then got the Teddy.
New Jack.
So little New Jack. Yeah.
All right, and what about trap?
Let me think. What's funny about trap is not a lot of snare drum. Just 'cause I gotta play the pad. So I'm like, it's like really not a lot of snare in it.
I know.
It's different things. And what I try to do too, which I hadn't done in a while, is play along with some more trap records, so I can cop the style. And one instance of playing along with records and get the style down is Questlove. Like he's like the hip hop. You can tell he practiced with all those records, and he sounds like a real hip hop, like a drum machine when he's playing. So that's why I love his style.
Yeah, a mutual friend of ours, Deshaun, started playing trap. I mean, when he came to the clinic, and it was so sparse. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
It was
it's-
empty. You couldn't really catch it.
Right.
But it's the standard now.
Yep.
You know, with what everyone's doing. All right, man. So look, we're not gonna hold you much longer. We're gonna let you play a little bit, but I know you have a lot of different companies that you work with as far as endorsements.
Yeah.
Give them a shout out, and then talk about the equipment that you use, your cymbals and your sticks, as well as your kit.
Cool. So since they're on top, I play Zildjian cymbals. As you can see, I like K's. K's like the cluster, the suite, the hybrids. I love K cymbals, K rides, K hats. So Zildjian, shout out to Zildjian. And their sister company, I guess, is Vic Firth. I play Vic Firth sticks. So I think they're sending a brick of these. These are my signature sticks. I don't know what camera.
So be sure that you sign up because we're going to be having a raffle, and so we're getting a block of sticks and a guest cymbal, a cymbal as well.
Yeah, they're sending a cymbal too.
They're sending a cymbal as well. So make sure you follow what's going on.
A 17-inch crash. I think it's going to be like a cluster, like one of these. It's 17-inch.
I'm not sure if it's going to get to whoever it is.
No. You
know,
ain't
look,
getting it.
No, we give everything away. You know that
Yeah.
we get. Shout out to Chris Hart and all the
Yep.
sponsors that have endorsed us over the years and provided us with equipment. We don't take it for granted. What about your kit?
Speaking of Chris Hart, I got to say that too before I get the kit. Remo drum heads, and they'll probably be mad because I didn't put new heads on. But I'm on this thing in my studio. It's like I don't want to change these until they break because they sound good.
Tone.
Yes, I don't want to touch them. So years
Talk
beat in.
about that. When you tune, how do you tune your drums? Because a lot of drummers are always asking, do you do in triads or what?
Mine usually ends up being triads. These kind of each drum is different, each wood is different, each company is different. So I kind of do it to that actual drum. But the way I tune, I like tone. I like it to ring a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Probably engineers probably hate it because they got a gate so it doesn't ring throughout the whole song. So I usually put the top a little looser than the bottom, or I should say I put the bottom a little tighter than the top. But I don't have one actual way. I just keep messing with it till I get that boom till it sings. So I don't have an actual technique except for or method outside of the bottom is a little tighter than the top. And I'll just keep going back and forth until I get that doom,
Yeah.
till it like
It
I
always
like it to
reminds
sing.
me of percussion players or conga players,
Yes.
when they're doing the fingering.
yeah.
Since you are a left-hand drummer, talk about, because we're both
And
left-hand.
before you go there,
Yeah.
Yamaha drums. I gotta say
Yes.
Yamaha. I've been with them since 2007, and they've been super cool with me. This is a Phoenix kit. It's a hybrid between Jatoba wood, and I think it's maple on the outside, but the Jatoba is like a thin, super hard wood that goes on the inside. In the middle of the plies, and it's maple, I think, on the outside, on either side.
Maybe you can take a picture one day and show the inside.
Yeah, I had to take the drum head off, and you can see the layers
Okay, cool.
on the top. Yeah, so this is a Phoenix, a Yamaha kit, and I use a maple hybrid sometimes too, and I have an oak custom that I use too.
And the snares, the Yamaha snare as well?
Yeah, this snare, yeah. This
Okay.
is the Paul Lime snare right here. This is like my favorite Yamaha. They discontinued their signature snares, like they had an Ndugu, they had a Dave Weckl, they had a bunch of different ones. Steve Gadd. This is the Paul Lime snare. He's a famous country drummer on millions of records. So this snare, just for whatever reason.
Speaking of
Work.
Ndugu, this is the third year that we're honoring a scholarship recipient under Ndugu, who was one of our clinicians for many years, and he passed a couple of years ago. So we have a scholarship in his honor. If you follow us on Musicians in Action, I'm sure someone will put something in the chat where you can find more information. So it's really important kind of looking at the legacy of the people that have come through our clinic and those that have been the benefactors or recipients of their work. Gorden,
Yep.
being a left-hand drummer, I'm left-handed, you're left-handed, but I play right-handed, you play open-handed. As you and I joke, you say the right way, right? Because you don't get crossed over.
Right.
How do you do that as a drummer sometimes when going to a kit that if you're a left-hand drummer, you have to turn around and shift? What made you end up playing without having to do that?
Growing up in church, and I didn't know that I was left-handed as a drummer because I write with my right hand. I eat everything else with my left, but I write with my right. So I'm kind of
Right,
like
we do.
ambidextrous.
You and I do that opposite. I
Yeah.
write and eat with my left hand, but
Right.
everything else
right-handed. Yeah, I didn't know that it was wrong. When and even with the other drummers at the church, because there was older guys, and then once they stopped coming, it was me and like one or two other young. They played like that. I didn't realize that I didn't even. When I went to audition at Howard, the band director was like, "That's wrong. You can't play like that." And I'm like, "Huh?" So I was like 17, 18, almost 18 when I auditioned to go to school, and that's when I realized, like, oh, a lot of people don't really play that way.
But there seems to be this fraternity amongst you left-hand drummers. I mean,
Right.
can you name some of the ones? I mean,
Oh, definitely.
you-
Chris Johnson is the first one that comes to mind. Chris Johnson, Will Kennedy, Lenny White, Billy Cobham. Who else? There's a couple other. Oh, Carter Beaufort.
Mm.
Who else? Those are the first that come off that, like Will Kennedy for sure, that play left-handed. Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Anything you want to get out before you play any other tracks?
No. I want to play.
All right. No. So I'm put
Oh.
you on the spot. On your project, you have a song with your daughter, and we both have daughters in the business.
Mhm.
How was that, man? I mean, matter of fact, we heard it on the radio last
Yeah.
week. You want
KJLH.
to talk about that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a song called Season that I wrote with my daughter Morgan. She's a writer, she's an artist, producer, engineer. She's doing it all. She basically grew up in here, and when I had the studio at the house, so it's just inevitable that she likes music and knows how to work everything and record and all that. And she just it happens to be able to sing really good. So
Yeah, that she.
it worked out. But yeah. So yeah, it just played on KJLH, which is Stevie Wonder's station here. They played it twice the other day. Like enough people called in, like, can you play that again? And they played it again in the same hour. So that was
Hey,
dope.
so what's the name of the song?
Season.
Do me a favor, you guys. Call in the KJLH 520 KJLH. No matter what your area code is, and request "Season" by Gorden Campbell featuring Morgan.
Yep.
All right, man.
Yep. So yeah, that came out. That was dope. I guess while we're there, I could play something else from my album.
Would you please?
Yeah, this song is called "Song in 6" because I couldn't think of a name.
That's the one that I called you to try to get the timing because I thought it was 6. Then I thought it was 7.
Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. And this is another song that I can hardly play, but I came up with the concept on the drums, and I built the song around it. And I was like, dude, like, how did I do that? So, yes. But, yeah, Song in 6 is featuring Sheila E. on timbales and percussion, Sarah Reich on tap. There's an actual tap dancer on my album. You'll hear it in a second. Oscar Cartaya on bass, Eddie Brown on keys. And I wrote this song. I wrote the bass line, everything. I said, just play that. And they all came and killed it. So, yeah, so featuring Sheila E., Sarah Reich. Paul Jackson Jr. is on here, too, on guitar. So it's a cool, and C-Town horns are on horns. So, yeah.
Have your way with it, man.
Called Song in 6.
You go back to after 6, you go to 4/4, right? And then
No, it's 6 the
is
whole
it still
time.
6 the whole time?
It's just weird. It's weird.
Ah, okay.
And don't ask me how I came up with it. It just happened.
You said you were just in the studio, though, just
Yeah.
messing around, right?
Pretty much all the songs on my album, not messing around. I was like, I need to make another song for my album. And this song I wrote probably the day before the session. Like, all right, I need another song. So I came in here and I purposely like, I need a groove, and I came up with that. I was thinking 4, but when I counted, I'm like, that's 6.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. So
You know what throws it off? It's the kick.
yes,
Because you're doing this on the 1 with the 6, but the kick is on the and or the off.
it's something.
Yeah, it was trying to catch it.
Like, and I was telling TJ, I don't think like that when I'm writing. I just write whatever
Yeah.
comes out, and then I'll analyze it later. And like, oh, so I couldn't even think of a name of this. That's why I named it "Song in 6." 'Cause I was like, it's just something I came up with.
Well, look, we know you teach. You mind giving a shout out? Talk about where you teach, where
Yeah.
students can find you.
Well, they can find me here. I teach here in my studio. I teach via Zoom too. But the school I teach at is Musicians Institute in Hollywood. I teach there. I mean, of course, we're all on Zoom right now, so I have a few privates, and I teach a class. Normally, I teach a gospel R&B drumming class, which cats come in thinking that they're going to learn a lot of licks, and I actually teach them the history of gospel music from the time the enslaved Africans got off the boat and went through slavery to where we are today, to where there was no drums allowed in church. So I teach them the history, and then we learn stuff along the way. We learn songs and licks and, a bunch of like Calvin Rogers, Joel Smith. We learn names too, because a lot of guys don't know the history of gospel, which
Yeah.
I'm doing a documentary on that too. I can put it out there. It's in the beginning stages. I've been beginning it for years. But I have a lot of interviews already. Joel Smith before he passed, Jeff Davis before he passed, Bill Maxwell. I got to get you. There's a couple other people. I got Doobie Powell. I got Gerald Hayward, Aaron Spears, Dana Davis from the Winans. I already have these interviews, so I'm putting it together. So look out for that too.
All right, cool. Anything else coming up that we need to know about?
My album's out. Go
What's
get
the
it.
name of it?
Conversations
Conversation.
by Gorden. And Gorden is Gorden, in case it's not printed on the screen.
For sure.
Campbell, yes.
All right, look, on behalf of Gerald and Jackie Malone, the Musicians in Action, man, again, we just want to thank you. We're going to let you close out. TJ has a few announcements. Thank you for all who were able to submit your videos. TJ is going to announce the winner. We have some other things coming up. This has been a blessing, despite, not being able to be in a church or location physically where we would normally be at the 4th Saturday of April of every year. We've been able to transport what we do and reach a broader market. So hopefully, if God says the same, we will be in a facility next year, the 4th Saturday in April. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to do virtual shows. I believe Aaron is going to be our next clinician. I'll confirm it later, but be on the lookout for some emails as well as some advertisements just to let you know again. But please, I want to thank Gorden. I'm going to call TJ back in. Gorden, you want to play something on the way out?
Yes.
All right.
I played this
Why are you talking so loud?
because the mic was on the ground. I was yelling because the mic was on the ground. I played this a couple years ago in person when we were at Faithful. It's a friend of mine, Greg, did Happy over. He just did an arrangement of Happy.
Oh, you
and
killed
I
on
just
that
like
one,
that
man.
song. So I said, I'm going to bring that back. I haven't played it since then. That was
Really?
years ago, yeah. So I like that track, and I like playing to it. So
And do me a favor, can you just tell the cats, how beneficial the clinic has been, not just for you, but we've seen kids to grow up and are doing
Yes.
astounding things.
yeah, we've literally seen kids that could barely play, or you could see in their eyes like, I'm going to be a drummer. And now they're playing with people. They're touring and everything. I can't think of one guy's name. He was literally a little kid. Now he's touring. I see him around every once in a while.
It's been so many of those.
Yeah. And I just did a thing with Brandy, too, young Rocco. I remember her coming to the clinics, too, and she's working now.
Oh, he's talking about Tosh. Tosh also.
Yeah,
came.
Taj. What's the dark skin? Brandon.
Yeah,
yeah.
Brand, yeah.
He's working. I remember them when they were little kids. So yeah, we've been at it for a long time. Seen everybody from Trevor Lawrence, Teddy Campbell, Sheila E. and the whole family. Little Justin, baby boy drummer. came through, like literally Little John Roberts.
I mean, we've had the
Harvey
the
Mason
who's,
come
man.
through. Yeah, everybody. And it's really enlightening. And I'm always inspired when I leave, too, like to keep going. Even sometimes, not like I'm all of that, but to see the little kids walk up to me like, oh, my God, that's how I was. You know what I'm saying?
But I think that's what makes MIA MIA Drum Clinic so relevant is that kids have a hands-on with you. You know what I'm saying? They're able to come up and touch you. And
Yes.
You
And
never
they can
know
get
how
on the
much,
drums,
Yeah,
too.
you never know how much that plays a role in their development.
Yes.
And so what you didn't know, or maybe you do know, some people don't know, you played on the Aretha biopic.
Yeah,
that
the-
was
the
on,
Genius, yeah.
Yeah, the Genius.
Uh-huh.
Well, did you know the little girl that played young Aretha?
From Faithful Central.
She's from Faithful
Yeah.
Central, but she was actually, Sheila called her up on stage when we had the clinic a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I probably have it on video.
Yeah, that was so crazy. I
Yeah.
was looking
And
at
she
like,
played young Aretha. Yep.
You just never know, what's going to happen.
Yep. Full circle. And that's me on the drums.
It is. And tell the people what scene of the movie you're in, that you're playing, even though they don't
I'm in,
see
I
you.
think, all of them.
Are you
Yeah, I
doing
just played a soundtrack. So, yeah. I played on, like, Rocksteady, which is amazing because Bernard Purdy, that's like a classic drum break on Rocksteady. So
And you did the church
I was able
thing
to
as
play
well.
it. Yeah, Jesus
Yeah.
Be Offense with her singing that. I think I'm in one song each episode, like with Aretha singing on it. Yeah.
So since we're talking about movies,
Yeah.
you get called all the time. I mean,
Well, not as much as I would like, but
Okay,
enough.
but-
yes.
I mean, you got called for people that know Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
You did Dreamgirls as well.
Yeah.
And that was based on a call from another drummer, well-known drummer Harvey Mason Jr.
No,
Right? No,
Harvey's son.
Harvey's son. I mean,
Yeah, he's not a
Harvey's son,
drummer
yeah.
though.
Okay,
He's a producer. But yes, him and actually Tim Carmen was helping them produce that. So Tim called me on that too. Yeah.
Wow. So that goes back to being the working drummer, how to stay relevant.
Yep.
And
Being able to read. Yes.
because you said you only had one day. I think you told me to.
No, well, we recorded Dreamgirls over a matter of maybe a month or two. We were there like every day for like maybe a couple of months doing all of them songs. And I didn't play everything. Harvey Sr. played on some, Tony Moore, Ricky Lawson, and Teddy Campbell. So, but I think I played on maybe 80% of the movie.
Cool.
Yeah. It's weird because when you do those sessions, you just go do them and you leave. And then it comes out. I had to ask that. I kept in touch with the engineer that mixed it. And I was like, well, what stuff did they keep? He said they kept everything you played on. So all those interludes and all that.
Yeah.
I played on pretty much the whole movie. Yeah, I played on a lot, and I didn't. You just never know if they're gonna replace you with something, or even I am telling you the main song. I did a version with a producer, and then they brought another producer in, and I think either Harvey or Ricky Lawson played the actual version that made the movie. So it's like you never really know. You just go play your best, and hopefully you make it.
Cool, well, man. Look, I can't think of a better way to go out than to be happy and thankful that we're all opening up.
Amen. And breathing, alive and breathing.
Definitely. And to those of you that are out there, again, thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the ear out. Gordon, really appreciate you, man.
Thank y'all for having me.
Cool.
And I got a shout out. Sorry not to interrupt.
Go ahead.
My cousin Al Boson, I think, he said he was going to get on, so hopefully he's watching. He was a drummer for Timothy Wright when I was growing up
Really?
in Brooklyn, and I grew up
On
upstate.
the lower side.
Yes, my cousin Al, and we're going to make it with Myrna Summers. That's my first cousin, so I always looked up to him playing. Like, he's one of my main inspirations. I was already playing in church, but because he was my cousin and he was playing, he's the first person that turned me on to Billy Cobham. Like, I go to his house in Brooklyn. He had all these records. I'm like, who is that? It was a guy like this in front of a drum set with his arm. That's Billy Cobham. So I went home and was like, I need a Billy Cobham album because of my cousin. So Al, if you're still watching, love you, cuz, and like big inspiration to me.
And what college did you go to?
Oh yeah, Howard. HU,
No. All
Howard University. Let's go.
All right, man. Look.
The home, the alma mater of our current vice president. I might add. Sorry.
And with Felicia Rashad being the
Oh, yeah.
Dean of Fine Arts.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. All right, man. Look, do your thing.
All right.
TJ's gonna roll it out after you finish again. Thanks,
Cool.
man.
And thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Always, man. It's found.
Yeah.
All right.
Might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. Come on. happiness is the truth. Because clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want. Clap along if you feel like a roof out of roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, Gorden Campbell. Man, this has been such an amazing clinic, man. I hope you guys have gotten so much out of it. I know I have. And just to reiterate, I was one of those kids, man, that was at the clinic, and I would be sitting there on the sideline and looking over there and
I remember you.
and running up and trying to get autographs and shaking hands and just wanting to be around. And lo and behold, next thing you know, I become a part of the bigger part of the MIA family, man.
You
I'm
in the
so-
mix. You in the mix now,
I'm in
bro.
the mix. I'm excited to be in the mix. So speaking of in the mix and MIA, make sure you are following us on all our social media platforms. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, MIA Drum Clinic, as well as MIA. Also, there's ability to support what we do at MIA. We have a whole process where you can actually be a member and you could donate. And if you want to just donate and be a patron to MIA, we do a lot of stuff, not just drum clinics. You know, there's the 3 tenors, and there's so many things that happen with MIA, not just drum clinics. So we want to say, if you want to be a part of the team, definitely you can donate. There's some links below where you can click on the links, and feel free to support what we do. We support a lot of inner city youth, and you may not be able to see it now, but there's going to be tons of kids that are going to be looking at this and going to be talking about this for days to come and weeks to come and years to come. And even from the last clinic, I've gotten so much feedback how it's been so insightful for a lot of drummers, and I can't wait to.
Alvin Rogers.
Yeah, man, that was amazing, man.
He's a beast.
Yeah, man,
One
and
of
you
my
just,
favorite.
and you just took it to the next level. So I'm excited.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Man. The great thing is, man, I was sitting here and I was listening, and before I even put on my headphones to be able to like hear the music that you were playing too, there was so much music in what you were playing. It was like, dude, I could listen to you play for hours without no music. But
Oh, thank you.
I was
Appreciate it.
like, dude, man.
Appreciate it.
So, man,
Can I
definitely.
add one thing, not to cut you off?
No,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I almost forgot. A lot of the tracks I play to, I make tracks. I do shed tracks to play along to, drumless tracks. So I'm actually going to put a drumless track CD together. If you go to my website in about 3 or 4 weeks, it'll be up there with probably 8 to 10 tracks, and some of them what I just played over today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you when can we get some of those, because
GordonCampbell.com. GordonCampbell.com. It's not up there yet. The website is up, but the link for this is not there yet. But stay in touch, or my IG, which is Gorden512 on IG, and they'll see when it's out.
And make sure you pick up his album, Conversations. Man, I'm telling y'all, dude, I heard the album, and like literally I haven't stopped playing it. My favorite joint is the one with PJ Morton and and BJ, the
BJ.
Chicago kid. That's my joint. Make it feel good like a Sunday morning.
Thank you.
That's my joint.
Thank you.
But there's such an eclectic mix of music there. I mean, there's something for everybody. There's some groove stuff. There's some really dope drum stuff where the band kind of lets off. Man, you definitely want to check out the album and make sure you're following Gorden on social media, all of his social media platforms. He has so much to offer as a drummer, multi-instrumentalist, and we gonna say Grammy nominated project, man. That's gonna, man. We speak that into existence.
I receive it.
Real quick, Gordon. Someone asked the question, how do you get into production?
Oh, that's a good question.
All right.
I'm from Norway, so
Oh, wow. So to get into production, you got to get the equipment. Now, all it is a laptop. Get a Apple, if you can, or any laptop, and get some kind of DAW. Logic, Pro Tools, Fruity Loops, Ableton, Studio One is a bunch. Get any one of those, or get a drum machine like an MPC 60 or the Push, and start making beats. And nowadays, the best way to do it is just post your beats on social media. You know, just post, and you don't have to post the whole song or anything so nobody can steal it, but post. And the more you post, people go. If I tell somebody I'm a producer, they're gonna go to my page, and I'm bad about it. I need to post more of the stuff that I'm working on, because people, if they'll go straight to your social media and watch you actually what you do. If your beats are hot, somebody's gonna pay you for it. So that's the best way to get in production. And what I do too, real quick, I listen to everything and I super analyze. It's kind of bad. I analyze everything. When I hear a song, I'm analyzing the kick drum. I'm analyzing what kind of swing it's got on it. I'm analyzing the bass sound, what plugin they use. I analyze everything about the music, the vocals, what plugins they use on the vocals. I'm like a geek when it comes to that. So that's how you learn production. You like break down a song that you like and try to copy it.
Yeah, and to reiterate, man, social media is like literally a free digital resume. I had a prominent drummer look up my resume, so to speak, just by watching everything that I did on my Instagram, and it kind of was a digital, like, literal resume for him to see, like, oh, this is what he's doing. So definitely put yourself out there, man. Don't be afraid to, because you never know where your opportunities are going to come from.
Yep.
tell them where they can find you and what you do.
Oh yeah. So yeah, hi. I'm TJ Fisher. I have Drums for Success. So Drums for Success is a music platform, music education. So we really push to do music education. We do kids, toddlers, all the way up to adults. And there's a lot of stuff happening. I'm doing a lot of in-person lessons. So if you want some in-person lessons, definitely hit me up. I'm in Long Beach. You can follow me at Drums for Success. Also on the website, at Drums for Success. Also on my website, if you go to my Instagram, at Drums for Success, all one word, you can click the link in the bio. I have linear practice packs, as well as play along exercises that are going to get your chops together. So the dope thing about the linear practice packs is sometimes we don't know how to build our chops. So the linear practice packs are literally something for you to play along to. It'll play it and you can play it back, and it's about 15 exercises, and it's only like $12, man. You know, so I ain't trying to break your pocket. I was trying to make sure you have the tools you need, and then some more courses is gonna be dropping on soloing and all that stuff like that. So definitely check me out at Drums for Success on social media, on all social media platforms. And follow me so you can check out the content I got. So,
Okay, so before we leave, shout out to Children of Production, because they have a big thing coming up. But Gorden, we need a role right now. We're going to announce the winner of the drum off contest.
yes, we are about to announce the winner of the MIA 2k21 drum off. Can we get a drum roll? And the winner is Ryan Gibson. So shout out to Ryan. Man, we seen your video.
Congrats,
and
Ryan.
we were so amazed by it, man. You did an awesome job, man, and we are so excited. We will definitely be contacting you so we can send you out something special from Gorden and the MIA team. So look out for that, Ryan. Hopefully you're watching. I seen you in the comments already, so I already know you're watching. So make sure you hit us up. We're going to hit you up, and we're going to make sure you get your gift very soon, as soon as we can, man. So definitely. Is there anything else?
I'm going to throw in a $50 Starbucks or some type of gift certificate.
He's throwing in $50 or something. I'm gonna throw in a free drum lesson as well, and also a linear practice pack. So definitely that will be coming your way. So hit me up and I'm find you, man. We just gonna connect. That's all it's gonna be.
Just tap in. Just tap in.
Just tap in. All right. So again, big thanks to MIA and all the MIA team, Jackie and Gerald and everybody that does their thing. Thank you to Judith, the behind the scenes, man. She's been working so hard to help us to put these things together. And everybody that's just connected. Again, thank you to Gordon. And thank you to Andrew for all the great, man. Did y'all see these camera angles, bro? And the sound, man. Andrew did all this amazing stuff.
Andrew's the man.
Yeah, man. We will definitely try to put his contact in the comments so you can utilize his services because he's an amazing thing. And he also like builds studios and all that stuff like that too. Man, amazing. So thank you for joining the MIA 2K21 Drum Clinic, and we will see you on the next one. I'm TJ Fisher saying peace, love, and blessings. See you guys later.